Stand right here. All right, go ahead and blow the shofar. Yay, good job. All right, go sit down with Mommy. Haksamayak, everybody. Are y'all having a good time? Are y'all enjoying the fellowship? Are y'all enjoying getting to see Yahweh's beautiful creation? Are y'all enjoying the wonderful food that Jenny and Joanne and Fred and Mom and everybody else has put forth for us? Are y'all enjoying smelling nice? Hey, doesn't that put you in the mind of what it would really be like to be traveling out in the desert? We're not even in the desert, even though it hasn't rained and seems like forever and there's dust everywhere. But can you imagine what it would be like if we didn't have a bunkhouse to go run into and shower regularly? Sounds good, doesn't it? Hey, y'all, but it's truly a blessing to be able to come and spend time with Yahweh's people, is it not? Do y'all think just maybe, that Yahweh gives us these appointed times to get together so that we might have a glimmer of what it would be like to be in the reign of the heavens? Amen. Do y'all think that's what this is? This is a practice? Show of hands real quick. Who wants to enter the reign of the heavens? Woohoo! For everybody on the camera, that's everybody in the room, I think. All right. Well, let me ask you this. What do you think it takes in order to get into the reign of the heavens? Obedience to Torah. Obedience to Torah, trust in Yahweh. Follow Yahshua's example. These are all great examples. Let's go take a look at the Word and see what it has to say. Let's turn to Matthew 19. Matthew 19, we're going to start in verse 16. That's going to be on page 939. All right, Matthew 19, 16. And see, one came and said to him, Good teacher, what good shall I do to have everlasting life? And he said, Why do you call me good? For no one is good except Elohim. But if you wish to enter life, guard the commands. And he said to him, Which? And Yahushua said, You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness. Respect your father and your mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So we can see from this, he's talking about Torah. So what y'all just said was right. We must have obedience to Torah. And we know this because it's in one of our favorite verses. Let's go change over to Matthew 5. Read it right there. It's going to be on page 921. Okay, we're going to be in Matthew 17. We're going to read through 20. Do not think that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. For truly I say to you, till the heavens and the earth pass away, one jot or one tittle shall by no means pass from the Torah till all be done. Whoever then breaks one of the least of these commands and teaches men so shall be called least in the reign of the heavens. But whoever does and teaches, what happens to that fellow? He becomes great in the reign of the heavens. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall by no means enter the reign of the heavens. So we know this, y'all. Guarding the commands is not something new. We see it from the beginning to the end. Matter of fact, let's start all the way at the beginning. Let's look at Genesis 26. We're going to start in verse 4. Matt. It's going to be on page 25. This is a guy we like called Father Abraham. 26, 4, and 5. And I shall increase your seed like the stars of the heavens, and I shall give all the lands to your seed, and in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because Abraham obeyed my voice and guarded my charge, my commands, my laws, and my Torah. So we got that at the beginning. Let's see what happens all the way at the end. Let's go turn over to Revelations real quick. I'm going to go to Revelations 14. It's going to page 1203. I'm going to be in verse 12. So Abraham started out obeying the commands. Let's see what happens to the ones that endure to the end. Revelations 14:12. Here is the endurance of the set-apart ones. Here are those guarding the commands of Elohim and the belief of Yahushua. Hold on a second. We just added something to the mix here. We've been talking about guarding commands the entire time, but right here it said we got to add belief to it. That's interesting. Let's go back and read another account of the guy that came to him and said, "Good teacher, what must I do to enter the reign of the heavens?" and see what it says. Let's turn over to Matthew 10 real quick. Mark 10. We got something extra here. Mark 10, we're going to be in 17 through 21, maybe a little bit further. Nope, 21. And it is on page 968. This is an account of the same thing we just read. Verse 17, and as he was sitting on the way, one came running and knelt before him and asked, "Good teacher, what shall I do to inherit the everlasting life?" This guy was excited. He came and ran. It's like slid in to say, "Hey, you know what I got to do?" And Yahushua said to him, "Why do you call me good? No one is good except Elohim. You know the commands. Do not commit adultery. Do not murder. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. Do not rob. Respect your mother and your father." Do the commands. And he answering said to him, "Teacher, all these I have done since my youth." And Yahushua, looking at him, loved him and said, "One matter you lack." I bet he sat there for a second and went, "Phoom." The teacher, the greatest of teachers, is about to tell me I lack something. "Go, sell all your possessions and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven. And come, follow me," taking up the stake. You see, this guy had been keeping Torah since he was a little kid. He knew the commands, but he was lacking something on the inside of him. Today I want to talk to you about that something that I'm lacking. See, I feel like it's something that is panging me on the deep parts of this. I'm lacking it deep inside, and I also feel like we as a body of believers may have the same thing going on. To introduce that to us, though, I need a help from a little helper of mine. Ariel, baby, come to me. Come to me. Come around this way. Come here. Oh, you're so big. Can you sit right here? Can you do me a favor? Can you sing "Trust in Yahweh"? Go ahead. Shh, 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 shh. Hey, look at me. Can you sing it to me? Go ahead. You can do it. Say "Trust in Yahweh."
Maybe if Seth stands up there with her.
Come here, Bubba. Seth, come here. You want to stand instead of sit? Go ahead, do it. Come on, you can do it. All right, let's sing. Go ahead. Yay! Do you want to try it, Ariel? Can you do it? Don't look at them, look at me. Can you do it? Sing it to me. You want to get down and go to mommy? Can you try one more time? Hey. Sing it for me. Just like we practice. All right, Bubba, do it one more time for me. Come over here. Come over to me. You got to talk right here.
Trust in Yahweh with all their heart, and lean not on your own understanding. For all their safe lives on many verse. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Good job, buddy. All right, baby, go sit down. Thank you. Go back to mommy. Hey, wait. Ariel, I need to ask you a question real quick. I got one more thing. Come here. You can do it right here. You ain't got to stand up. Here. Sir, Ugh. Hey, are you smart?
Yeah.
Are you strong? Are you fast? Are you funny? Are you brave? Are you beautiful? Are you a princess of Yahweh? Are you designed for greatness? Yes, you are. Mwah.
Can I fly?
Go sit down. You can fly one day.
This way.
She is. She's super fast. Yahushua said that in order to be great, you have to become like little children. Let's look at that. Let's turn over to Matthew 18. We're going to be on page 938. We're going to be in verse 1 through 4. And at that time, the taught ones came to Yahushua saying, "Who then is the greatest in the reign of the heavens?" It keeps coming up. Who's great in the reign of the heavens? And Yahushua called a little child to him and set him in their midst and said, "Truly, I say to you, unless you turn and become like a little children, you shall by no means enter into the reign of the heavens. Whoever then humbles himself as this little child is the greatest in the reign of the heavens." We're adding stuff to this, y'all. Let's look at it in another spot. It's going to be in Mark 10:15. Something that's interesting, too, is this was right before the dude comes running in and sliding into Yahushua saying, "Hey, what do I need to do?" Mark 10:15, "Truly I say to you, whoever does not receive the reign of Elohim as a little child shall certainly not enter into it." Seth is a perfect example, and Ariel are perfect examples of this. Did y'all notice how brave Seth was when he got up here? He went right to it. He started singing like it was nobody's business. Show of hands. Who likes to get up in front of everybody and sing? I want you to look. Seth has got his hand up. Sophia's got his hand up. I ain't seen you yet, so we're going to hold you to that. That's uncomfortable, isn't it? That little man got up in here just like that, and he was like, "I can do this." He came up, he sang with all his heart, not doubting at all. And he did it all because Daddy asked him to. In life, Yahweh put me in the place of Elohim for Seth and Ariel. I'm their provider, I'm their teacher, I'm their protector, and I'm the lover of their soul. They humble themselves before me and trust me with all their heart, just like the memory verse that they sang. When they're scared, they run to me. And when they get to me, they're not afraid. They trust me. They know that I will protect them against anything that's around them. When I'm with them, they become bold. They're not scared to get up here and sing. There's a lot of things that I can have them do that they will go do just because I'm near them. Whatever I ask them, they can do, and that's because they trust me with all their heart. Let me ask you a question. Isn't that how we're supposed to be with Yahweh? We all say amen, but what does that really mean? Do we really put that into practice? I tell you the truth, this is the matter that I lack. It's trust. And that lack of trust is a cancer that's eating up our lives. I mean, just slap tearing us up. Before we get into what the cancer, how it is a cancer, let's look and see what trust even means. Did a quick Google search of it, and trust is a very interesting word. It's not just a noun, it's also a verb. So the noun version of it says, a firm belief in the reliability, the truth, the ability, or strength of someone or something. Firm belief. When it's a verb, it means to believe in the reliability, the truth, the ability, or the strength of. Dictionary.com, to rely upon or place confidence in someone or something. To have trust or confidence in, to rely on, to depend on. It's a strong word, trust. Merriam-Webster's, assured reliance in the character. That adds a whole another gamut to that. The ability, the strength, or truth of someone or something. That's what trust means. It means to have belief, to be relying upon somebody. with that in mind, I'd like to reread something and try to throw something at you that you might not have seen before. Let's go back to Revelations real quick. We're going to go to Revelations 14. It's going to be on 1203. We just read it. It's going to be in verse 12. Here is the endurance of the set apart ones. Here are those guarding the commands of Elohim and the belief of Yahushua. See, I used to believe that this thing right here was just talking about Yahshua's code of ethics, the belief of Yahushua, that how he conducted himself and how he gave himself to Torah. But in light of this new definition of what trust means, I'm thinking it may be something more than that. Yahushua trusted in Yahweh with all his heart. I mean, with all his heart. And because of that, he was able to do great and mighty things. He had the reliance on Yahweh. He depended on Yahweh's. He depended on his strength, his character, his ability, and all those things got him through all kinds of things. He was also confident in Yahweh. And he knew that whatever Yahweh said he would do exactly that. When we read about the belief of Yahushua, we see some marvelous things that happened when he trusted him. He was able to do great miraculous things because of his belief, because of his trust. And he said we would do the same. Let's go check it out. John 14:12. We'll be on page 1038. Verse 12, truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me, the works that I do, he shall do also, and greater works than these he shall do, because I go to my Father. But this only happens when you trust in Yahweh with all your heart. Proverbs 3:5, y'all don't have to turn there unless you just want to. Trust in Yahweh with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Know him in all your ways, and he makes all your paths straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear Yahweh and turn away from evil. The word here for trust is batach. It means to trust, to be confident, to be bold, to be secure, to feel safe, to be careless. Do you feel safe with Yahweh? Do you feel carefree with Yahweh? Do you trust in Yahweh? We're saying all that right now when we're in this room, but what about if we were in a life-threatening situation? Will we have the same answer? I'm proud of you. Good. I believe you would. Truly. You too, Tyner. Let's go look at somebody that had a life-threatening situation and see how he handled it. Let's go look at Daniel real quick. Uh-oh, somebody took my Daniel tab. I found it. All right, we're going to be in Daniel 6. It's going to be on page 590. All right, so just to recap, Daniel has now been taken over to Babylon, and he's been over there with some of his friends, and he's now been put into the viceroy position. Verse 1. It pleased Darius to appoint over the reign 120 viceroys to be over all the reign, and over them 3 governors, of whom Daniel was one, so that these viceroys should give account to them, and the sovereign suffer no loss. Then this Daniel distinguished himself above the governors and the viceroys because of an excellent spirit was in him, and the sovereign planned to appoint him over all the reign. Then the governors and the viceroys sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the reign, but they weren't able to find occasion or corruption because he was steadfast, and no negligence or corruption was found in him. What does that sound like he's doing? He's guarding the commands. They could see that he was guarding the commands. It's evident whenever you get out there. Y'all are sitting here today. Y'all have taken off from work. You're guarding the commands. That's part of it. And they can see it, and everybody could see it. Verse 5. Then these men said, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel unless we find it against him concerning the law of his Allah. Then these governors and viceroys tumultuously gathered before the sovereign and said to him, Sovereign YHWH, live forever. And the governors of the reign, the nobles and the viceroys, the counselors and the advisors, Daniel's got a bunch of people against him, have consulted together to establish a royal decree to make a strong interdict that whoever petitions any Allah or man for 30 days except you, O sovereign, is thrown into the den of lions. Now, O sovereign, establish this interdict and sign the writing so that it is not to be changed according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which does not pass away. Well, Sovereign YHWH said, man, if everybody's talking to me, that sounds like a good idea, so let's do it. So Sovereign YHWH signed the written interdict. And Daniel, when he knew that the writing was signed, he went home in his upper room with his windows open towards Jerusalem. He knelt down on his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his Allah as he had done before. What is that? He just heard. He knows what the consequence is. You will die if you do this. He's sitting there. He's part of this whole chamber. So it wasn't like, they conspired against him in the back rooms. This was in front of everybody. He heard this law and knew what it was. And he promptly went home, and his allegiance was to whom? Yahweh first. And he even did it boldly. He went down there, and he didn't shut his windows. He opened up his windows, and he looked towards Jerusalem and did it 3 times a day. Is that not bold? Is that not brave? 11. Then these men tumultuously gathered and found Daniel praying and entered before and entreating before his Allah. Then they approached the sovereign and spoke concerning the sovereign's interdict. Have you not signed an interdict that every man who petitions any Allah or man within 30 days except you, O sovereign, is thrown into the den of lions? The sovereign answered and said, the word is certain, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which does not pass away. Then they answered and said, before the sovereign, Daniel, who is one of the sons of the exile from Yehuda, pays no heed to you, O sovereign, nor for the interdict that you have signed, but makes his petition 3 times a day. Then the sovereign, when he heard these words, was greatly displeased with himself, and he set his heart on Daniel to deliver him, and he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. It's interesting. Then these men tumultuously gathered before the sovereign and said, well, yeah, no, sovereign, that this law of the Medes and the Persians, that any interdict or decree which the sovereign establishes is not to be changed. I don't think that was a good idea for them to get haughty to the sovereign, but they did it. Doesn't turn out real well for them. Then the sovereign gave orders, and they brought Daniel and threw him into the den of lions. But the sovereign spoke and said to Daniel, your Allah, whom you serve continually, he himself delivers you. Now, how did he know that? Seriously, how did YHWH know that? He's a Mede, he's a Persian. How would he know about Yahweh? Daniel was obviously different. He was about to get pointed in front of everybody, and I don't think you get to be that cool with the king without him seeing who you are and what you stand for. Everyone took notice that Daniel was guarding Yahweh's commands. Matter of fact, that's what got him here in the first place. But something else was different too. Could it be that he saw the belief of Yahushua working? That total trust. Daniel went in. I believe that this had to be so pronounced that the sovereign wanted to remind Daniel, just in case he forgot, man, you trust Yahweh. Don't you worry. I've heard you say this before. You trust Yahweh because this is about, he'll save you. Or maybe he was trying to tell himself because he felt so guilty. But either way, he wanted Daniel to know that he could rely, he could be confident, he could be safe. Just like all those words, all those definitions we just read about trust. That Daniel could trust in Yahweh. Verse 17, and a stone was brought and laid on the mouth of the den, and the sovereign sealed it with his own signet, and with the signets of his great men, that the situation concerning Daniel might not be changed. And the sovereign went to his palace and spent the night fasting, and no entertainment was brought before him, and his sleep fled from him. It's a pretty big deal. And when he came to the den, he called with a grieved voice to Daniel. Wait a minute, I skipped a verse. The sovereign rose early in the morning. I'm sorry, that's verse 19. The sovereign rose early in the morning and hurried to the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he called with a grieved voice, Daniel, servant of the living Allah, was your Allah, whom you serve continually, has he been able to deliver you from the lions? Then Daniel said to the sovereign, O sovereign, live forever. My Allah has sent his messenger and has shut the lion's mouth, and they did not harm me, because I was found innocent before him, and also before you, O sovereign. I have done no harm. Now I want you to notice something. When the sovereign comes running up, his voice is all grieved. Daniel, Daniel, where are you? But Daniel nonchalantly, or just matter of factly, I'm here. Hey, Nani. Yahweh took care of me. I've been telling you for years, man. Yahweh took care of me. I trusted in my Yahweh. I knew that I was not to blame. Even though I get put in a life-threatening situation, I am confident. I am safe with Yahweh. Is that not marvelous? 23, then the sovereign was very glad and gave orders that Daniel be taken out of the den. And Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no harm was found on him because he trusted in his Allah. I forgot to highlight that. Oops. And the sovereign gave orders, and they brought those men who had accused Daniel, and they threw them, their children and their wives, into the den of lions. That was a little overkill, but... And the lions overpowered them and broke all their bones in pieces before they reached the floor of the den. 25, the sovereign Darius wrote to all the people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth. Peace be increased to you. From before me is made a decree that throughout every rule of my reign, men are to tremble and fear before the Allah of Daniel. For he is the living Allah and steadfast forever. And his reign is one which is not destroyed, and his rule is unto the end. He delivers and rescues, and works signs and wonders in the heavens and on earth. For he has delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. Daniel guarded his commands, and then he trusted in Yahweh. He had the belief of Yahushua, and it saved his life. Now, of course, that is life and death situations. You know, how does that apply really and truly to us today? Let's go and look at some folks that did not trust in Yahweh. Let's go to Deuteronomy 1. We're going to be on page 185. We're going to be 29 through 36. Told you I was dry as a desert, man. My throat's getting me. All right, Deuteronomy 1:29. Then I said to you, have no dread or fear of them. What's just happening is Moshe is recounting everything that just happened throughout the entire Exodus, and he's talking about when they went into, the spies went in and they came out and what happened right afterwards. Then I said to you, have no dread or fear of them. Yahweh, your Elohim, is going before you. He does fight for you, according to all he did for you in Mitzrayim before your eyes. Did Moshe trust Yahweh? Better believe he did. And in the wilderness where you saw how Yahweh, your Elohim, was born you, as a man bears his son. And all the way that you went until you came into that place. I think that's interesting that he talks about how Yahweh will take you just like his son. I'm going to make sure nothing happens to Seth. Even if it costs me my being, my life, if I have to die to make sure my kids are taken care of, so be it. Isn't it interesting that Yahweh compares himself that to us? That's huge. And in the wilderness, where I read that one, yet in this matter you are putting what? No trust in Yahweh your Elohim, who is going before you in the way to seek out a place for you to pitch your tents, to show you the way that you should go in the fire by night and in the cloud by day. And Yahweh heard the voice of your words, and it was wroth, and he took an oath, saying, not one of these men of this evil generation shall see that good land of which I swore to give your fathers, except one dude, Caleb. Right here says one. Joshua was kind of a different. Joshua didn't actually go in to spy the land, did he? He did? I wonder why it says one right here, so I'm wrong on that. Except Caleb, son of Jephunneh. He shall see it, and to him and his children I give the land on which he walked. Why did he get it? What's the next sentence, or next stanza? Because he followed Yahweh completely. Haven't we heard that before? He believed. He had the belief of Yahushua. This word right here we're talking about, they had no trust in Yahweh, is aman. It means to build up or foster as a parent. We should have been trusting him like a parent because he said he was bearing us up like we were his son. To have assurance, to be faithful, steadfast, all these things, trusting, just like it. They didn't trust Yahweh at all. They didn't do all these things that is important for us to trust Yahweh with all our heart. So what did Caleb do to deserve to go into the promised land? Let's turn over to Numbers real quick. Numbers 13. Yep, going to be on page 154. We're going to be 25 through 33. All right, Numbers 13:25. And they returned from spying out the land after 40 days, and they went and came to Moshe and Aharon and all the congregation of the children of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. And they brought back word of them to all the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. And they reported to them and said, we went to the land where you sent us, and truly it flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. But the people who dwell in the land are strong, and the cities are walled, very great. And we saw the descendants of Anak there too. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south. It's a bunch of doubt right here. While the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the banks of the Jordan. Caleb did something different. He said, y'all be quiet. He silenced the entire place, and he said, let us go up and take possession now. We got this, y'all. You always said we've got this. Let's go now. For we are certainly able to overcome. He's trusting, man. He's like, I believe what Yahweh said. I have confidence in that. But the men who had gone up with him said, we're not able to go up against these people, for they are stronger than we. They gave the children of Israel an evil report of the land which they had spied out, saying, the land through which we have gone up as spies is a land eating up its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in it are men of great size. They saw giants, and they were scared. They didn't trust in Yahweh. And we saw there the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, and of the Nephilim, and we were like grasshoppers in our own eyes. So we were in their eyes. You ever notice what happens when you walk up on a grasshopper? Exactly. They don't trust you're not there to not stomp you. Caleb, on the other hand, he was bold. He had strength. He believed and he relied on Yahweh and had confidence in Yahweh that Yahweh was going to do exactly what he said he was going to do. We're going into that land. This is our land. Yahweh gave it to us. And because of that, he got to go in. He trusted in Yahweh with all his heart and was willing to stand up in the midst of all of his peers. He was the only one up there in front of everybody silencing them, saying, y'all be quiet. We got this. He said we should do the hard thing, the uncomfortable thing, the scary thing, and find peace that Yahweh says we can do this. We should have trust in Yahweh. Not having trust is this thing I'm talking about that's the cancer that's destroying us. That's the matter I lack. Yahweh has promised us to do great things. He has promised us all kinds of wonderful things, tremendous blessings. Huge blessings. Blessed when you go in, blessed when you come out, blessed are the fruit of your body. Keep reading, it goes on and on. Everything. We're supposed to ride on the heights of the heavens. Yet we make Yahweh, this is going to be a bold statement, we make Yahweh a liar by not really trusting him. When we don't trust him wholly with all of our heart, with all of our being, and are confident in what he says, we're saying we don't believe you. Is that the belief of Yahushua? That's the opposite of the belief of Yahushua. Well, let's sink in. And this is nothing new. We have examples of people that actually had the trust. They were doing crazy things, and then all of a sudden, in an instant, it was gone. Let's go take a look at Matthew 14:25. Page 934. Matthew 14:25. And in the fourth watch of the night, Yahushua went to them, walking on the sea. Now, is that a crazy thing to be able to do? But Yahushua had the belief to be able to do it. He trusted in Yahweh that I could walk all the way out there and not sink through. And when the tall ones saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, it's a phantom. And from fear they cried. What's the opposite of trust? Fear. But immediately Yahushua spoke to them, saying, take courage, it's I. Do not be afraid. And Kepha stood up in front of them and silenced them and said, hey, I got it. Master, if it's you, command me to come out on the water. I'm sure it's not like that, but you never know. And he said, come. And when Kepha had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Yahushua. Dude, he was on the water. He was doing what he saw his master do. The one that said, you can do these same things that I'm doing. He's out there walking. Now, have any of y'all ever done that? Don't bring up the dude that walked on the frozen lake. We had a guy one time that said, do you believe a man can walk on water? And I said, yeah, Yahushua did it. He said, no, somebody besides Yahushua. He said, well, why? And he said, well, I've done it. I said, why'd you do it? He said, I walked across the lake. And I said, why? I need to get to the other side. Now, of course, it was frozen, but, he had us going. None of us have done that. But if you'll notice right here, Kepha had the belief. He had the belief of Yahushua. He saw. And I believe whenever you get around people that have that trust, it will be contagious and rub off on you. I also think the opposite is true. Whenever you get around people that don't have that trust, you need to silence them and say, be quiet. Just like Caleb did. Silence them and say, no, we will do what Yahweh said. Have confidence. Have strength in him. Let's look at another. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Keep going. We're going to be in 30. But when he saw that the wind was strong, he was what? Afraid. He was scared. He didn't feel the safety of Yahweh. His trust, his belief, the belief he was witnessing of Yahushua, it failed. And he dropped. And beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, Master, save me. And immediately Yahushua stretched out his hand and took hold of him and said to him, O you of little belief, you of little trust, why did you doubt? You were out here with me, dude. You saw what Yahweh can do and you failed. Check out Matthew 8. We're going to be in verse 23. That's going to be on 9:25. There's another, for instance, where Yahushua is telling them, you have little belief. See, before I didn't know what that meant. Oh, you have little belief. I think I'm getting a better idea of what it is. Matthew 8:23. And when he entered into a boat, his taught ones followed him, and see, a great gale arose on the sea. They tend to be scared of these winds, don't they? Oh, lost my place. So that the boat was covered by the waves, but he was sleeping. And his taught ones came to him and woke him, saying, Master, save us, we're perishing. It's happening again. And he said to them, why are you afraid? Why don't you trust? Oh, you of little belief. You don't have the trust. Aren't y'all watching me? This is my belief. They were Yehudim. You know they were keeping the commands. Otherwise, Yahushua wouldn't have had them with him. Then having risen, he rebuked the winds and the sea. He said, y'all be silent. And there was a great calm. And the men marveled, saying, what is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? Y'all, there is a storm that wages within our members. The storm between trust and distrust. Between belief, not disbelief, but unbelief. Disbelief is a denial that something exists. Unbelief is a wavering in how strongly you believe. Those things are the cancer that can eat you up on the inside. And our job is not to sit there and just try to succumb to it. Our job is to master it, to get out there and say, silence, and overcome with the trust, with the belief of Yahushua. We have to calm the storm. So often we marvel at people like Daniel and Caleb and Peter. They were preserved during life-threatening altercations. And yes, out there in the middle of a raging sea falling through the water, that would have been a life-threatening altercation. When I think about stuff like that, I would think that I would trust in Yahweh like they did. I'd like to think that when faced with lions or giants or raging seas, that I'd have the trust, the belief, to face those things head on, having the confidence that Yahweh is with me, that He's fighting with me, so that I overcome. At least that's the way I think about it when I romance it in the safety of my own mind. But I have to tell you, I'm not so sure. Currently, I'm failing at a life-threatening situation that I, and probably you too, face daily. Yahushua warned about this life-threatening situation. Let's go read about it, and that way I can tell you. It's Matthew 13. Matthew wrote some good stuff.
He's a cool guy.
He is a cool guy. Matthew 13, verse 1. This is going to be a life-threatening situation. And on that day, Yahushua went out to the house and sat by the sea, and a large crowds were gathered together to him, so that he went into a boat and sat down. And all the crowd stood on the beach. And he spoke to them much in parables, saying, See, the sower went out to sow. Life-threatening? And as he sowed, some indeed fell by the wayside, and the birds came and devoured them. And others fell on rocky places where they did not have much soil. And immediately they sprang up, because they had no depth of soil. But when the sun was on them, they were scorched. And because they had no root, they withered. And others fell among thorns, and the thorns came up and choked them. And others fell on good soil and yielded a crop, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has an ear to hear, let him hear. And the taught ones came and said to him, Why do you speak much in parables? And he answered and said to them, Because it has been given to you to know the secrets of the reign of the heavens, but to them it has not been given. For whoever possesses, to him more shall be given, and he shall have overflowing. But whoever does not possess, even what he has, shall be taken away. Because of this I speak to them in parables, because seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand. And in them the prophecy of YHWH is completely filled, which says, Hearing you shall hear, and by no means understand, and seeing you shall see, and by no means perceive. For the heart of this people has become thickened, and their ears are hardened of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, lest they should understand with their heart and turn back, and I heal them. Heal them from what? And blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear. For truly I say to you that many prophets and righteous ones longed to see what you see, and they didn't see it, and to hear what you hear, and they didn't hear it. You then hear the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the rain and does not understand it, then the wicked one comes and snatches what he has sown in his heart. This is what is sown by the wayside. And that sown on rocky places, this is he who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. We see these people. They hear about it, they get excited, and the next thing you know, they're gone. Yet he has no root in himself, but is short-lived, and when pressure or persecution arises because of the word, immediately stumbles. And that sown among the thorns is he who hears the word, and the worry of this age and deceit of riches choke the word, and it becomes fruitless. Is the place we live kind of sticky? And sticky by that I mean, are there briars and thorns and thistles? Are we in Babylon? Are we in Mitzrayim? Is there things all the time going around trying to choke us out? I tell you the truth, we are a part of this parable right now. We're the ones that have been sown halfway on good soil, but somehow somebody came through and threw tares out there. And it's choking us. Worry, doubt, fear. This is all unbelief. And it's not trusting in Yahweh with all your heart. This is the life-threatening situation, and it's destroying us. It is making us wither and become fruitless. I look at our people, and I see great talents. People that are capable of all kinds of wonderful things that could be used to increase the reign of Elohim. Yet in our eyes, in our lives, we look downtrodden, defeated, and sometimes ragged and torn. If the Torah is for our good always and is the way that leads us to life, and Yahushua said He came to give us life abundantly, then why is it we still lack? Take heart, you people of Yahweh. Take heart, you sons and daughters of Israel. When you feel pains and pressures from the world, trust in Yahweh with all your heart. You are wondrously made. I truly believe that everyone in this room is designed for greatness. And if your first thoughts when you hear that is, I'm no good, or that doesn't apply to me, or something else, you don't have trust and you need to think of something else. Yahweh, you didn't just choose Yahweh. Yahweh chose you. Yahweh calls each one of you His treasured possession. Not just something to throw by the wayside, not something you stick up in the attic. His treasured possession. He called you and He took you to Himself. And if you're sitting there saying, I'm no good, you're making Yahweh a liar again. You don't believe in Him and you don't have confidence in Him. I don't believe him, apparently. Because I don't have that trust that I'm sitting here telling you about. I didn't write this to y'all. I wrote this to me. I have to confess that I am preaching to myself. Wait a minute, I skipped a paragraph. I got it. I have to confess to you that I'm preaching this to myself, hoping you would hear it too. This year has been a roller coaster for me. All right? People can be tried in different ways. You're always good at finding where you need to be tried in order to make you stronger. All right? So, like for instance, I'm a family man at heart. I love my family dearly. When we watch a movie, Ashley can be very moved at the romantic stuff. And I like the romantic stuff too. I find a tenderness in there. But it's not the same thing as what happens whenever you watch an interaction that happens between a parent and a child, or a grandparent and a grandchild, where the parent and child are sitting there saying, you are worthy, you're awesome. And they have that bonding moment that really catapults them into the future and gives them the answer of, yes, you're good enough. That touches me in ways that I don't know how to explain. It's kind of like, for some reason, violins touch me. I didn't figure that one out either, but it's just, that's the way my body works. I don't know why. When I hear a string ensemble, it reverberates into my being. I don't get it. When Seth was first born, he had a skull fracture. And we didn't find out until 2 or 3 days later. And so the very first thing we're doing, he's having seizures, and we're running down to the Eggleston Hospital with Ashley's guts half hanging out because she had a C-section, trying to go down there and take care of Seth. During that time, my faith never wavered. I was closer to Yahweh. I wasn't scared. I trusted in him. So next year, he's like, I'm going to try you again just to see. The following year, Seth decided it was a good idea to pour boiling water all over himself. Wasn't a good decision. He got 2nd and 3rd degree burns over a third of his body. I think it was his whole front here, and all up underneath here. The day we were coming to Tabernacles, we just set up Tabernacles camp the day before. Off to the hospital we went again. The whole time, me and Ashley are God. We are totally trusting in Yahweh. None of that stuff's affected me. So Yahweh's like, okay, we're going to mix it up. As a little boy, I've had a stronghold that still affects me to this day. And it has to do with finances. It's not the love of money or anything like that. It's the uncertainty that comes along whenever things get tight. And boy, Yahweh has played it to me this year to find out how I'm going to react. So for y'all that don't know, I flip houses for a living, and I also have a rental business. And truthfully, what happens on the flip business is you work all year and you make your money in about 3 or 4 months. So like you fix all these houses up and they all sell between like June and August to October, somewhere in there. The whole point of that business is to be able to fuel the rental business because you've always got repairs going on, new roofs, new ACs, stuff I'm not going to tell y'all about. Last year, I think we did 9 houses that we bought, rehabbed, and sold. So far this year, we've bought 5 houses to fix, rehab, and sell. Awesome, right? Yeah, the people that know me ain't shaking their heads so good. Remember I said this should end by October, right? At the end of October, all those houses should be gone. So far this year, we've closed 1 house. That means I got 4 of them sitting out somewhere. 1 of them we've held for over a year. Most of the time, when you sell a house, it ought to take 5-6 months tops. We've had it for over a year. Can't figure out why it's not selling. Great house, beautiful house. If I could move into it, I would. Another house. All right, so this all has to do with Yahweh trying me with finances. Another house. We got in there to get to working on it, and the termites had eaten so much of the house that we wound up having to do the entire floor system from the laundry room all the way over to the bedrooms. And so that's probably at least a third of the house. May even be getting close to a half. Is that about right, Miles? That put us way over budget. And I was depending on the house that still hasn't sold to pay for the mess up on that to be able to bring us back into, but we ran out of money. We sold 1 house, but we went over budget on another property that all that money went to. Then we're supposed to close a house Friday before Tabernacles. Yeah, it didn't happen. So, no, we still have the buyer. We just apparently upset the appraiser, and he was going to show us who was boss, and he did. So, the house should have. So far, we've lost $11,000 off of the appraisal, plus another month's worth of him not going out and fixing what he needed to sign off on. It's literally a signature and a picture, and we'd have closed the house already. This happened before Tabernacles. The week before that, we went under contract on the last house. Yes! And by the way, we've already lost a contract on it, but we got a new one. Yes! I'm in Tabernacles. You always telling me about trust and everything. We get over to Sloppy Floyd yesterday, and I get a phone call from the guy that does our termite inspections, because they always have to come out and do a termite inspection right before the sale of the house to make sure everything's still clear, something that the bank requires. And he calls me up and said, "Joey, dude, you got water everywhere." Oh, yeah, no. And the very first thing I thought was, I got to get out of here. I got to go fix that. Well, Yahweh was asking me. He was like, "Joey, are you going to trust in me? Or are you going to be where I told you to be? Or are you going to fret about this?" And so I thought about it. I did what I could do, and then I let it go. Because I trust in Yahweh. I'm confident in Him. At least now. Last night, as we were laying on the bed, I asked Ashley, I said, "What was the best part of yesterday?" Because we did some good stuff yesterday, didn't we? We went fishing. Some people got to see a cave. We just went on a walk. We went on paddle boats. Played dance. There's something else we did. Oh, we ate hot dogs, dude. We had some good hot dogs. Thank you. And fishing. Ariel went swimming, even though there was no swimming. You know, we had a really good time. And so I asked Ashley, out of all these things that we did, what was your favorite? And she said, the paddle boats. I really like just being able to go out there. And we got some great pictures. It's good family time. Nobody will be able to bombard us. And she asked me, she said, what was your favorite? I said, my favorite was when I made the decision to trust in Yahweh with all my heart and not let the cares of the world choke us right now like it is in the parable of the sower, and be able to go and have this special time that Yahweh commanded us to go have. That was my favorite part of yesterday. Without trusting in Yahweh, without believing in Him, without being confident in Him, without having the belief of Yahushua, I wouldn't have been able to do that. Yahushua told us what to do when worry comes about. Let's go look at Matthew 6 real quick. It's going to be on page 923. Matthew 6:25. Because of this, I say, do not worry about your life, much less whether or not a house is going to close, much less you're going to find a job, much less any of the rest of this stuff. Do not worry about your life. What you shall eat, what you shall drink, or about your body, what you shall put on. Is not life more than food, the body more than clothing? Is it not spending time with Yahweh and getting to go out to Sloppy Floyd and have an uninterrupted time with your family where it's quiet and you don't have anything but you, your thoughts, and a wonderful time? You don't have the cares of the world. It's commanded, y'all. Look at the birds of the heavens, for they neither sow nor reap, nor gather into storehouses, yet your heavenly Father does feed them. Are you not worth more than they? Aren't you?
Yeah.
Do you believe it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Better think about that. And which of you by worrying is able to add 1 cubit to his lifespan? Remember, worry is the opposite of trust. So why do you worry about your clothing? Why don't you trust in Yahweh about your clothing? Why don't you rely on Him? Note well the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. And I say to you that even Shlomo in all his esteem was not dressed like one of these. But if Elohim so clothes the grass of the field which exists today and tomorrow is thrown into the furnace, how much more you, O you of little belief? Do not worry then, trusting Yahweh with all your heart, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For all these the Gentiles seek for. And your heavenly Father knows that you need all these. But seek first the reign of Elohim and all His righteousness. Get out there and get to tabernacles and have a good time, and don't let the cares of the world choke it out of you. And all these matters shall be added to you. Worry, doubt, fear. This is all unbelief and is not trusting in Yahweh with all your heart. Yahweh really does love you. You're His treasured possession. Don't believe me? He says things like, but the path of the righteous, this is Proverbs 4, you don't have to turn there, I'm just going to rapid fire you some stuff. But the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn. The light of dawn that shines ever towards the perfect day. Is that not poetic or what? He will make your path straight. That's what it said in Proverbs 3:5. Isaiah 58:14. Then you shall delight yourself in Yahweh. This is about guarding the commands. This is about keeping Sabbath. Then you shall delight yourself in Yahweh, and I shall cause you to ride on the heights of the heavens. Do you even fathom that? Because I sure don't. I'd really love to. But man, what kind of trust is that? And I will feed you with the inheritance of Yaakov your father. Yaakov got given a whole bunch of promises, and we're entitled to those if we guard the commands and have the belief of Yahushua. If we trust in Yahweh with all our heart. For the mouth of Yahweh has spoken. He ended it right then. Guess what? That's what's going to happen. Jeremiah 29:11-13. For I know the plans I am planning for you, declares Yahweh. I got this. Y'all just listen to me. Plans of peace and not evil, to give you a future and an expectancy. It don't end right here. You get to keep going. You get to enter into the promised land. Be quiet. Those giants of fear, they're not before you. You can master them. Then you shall call on me, and I shall come and pray to, and you shall come and pray to me, and I shall listen to you. And you shall seek me and shall find me when you search for me with all your heart. Trust in Yahweh with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Know Him in all your ways, and He makes all your paths straight. If you ever doubt of your self-worth, know this: Yahweh chose you. You chose Him, but He chose you right back, and He probably chose you before you chose Him. He chose you out of all the entire world. He's called you together, and you're here today as proof that He loves you and that you're His treasured possession. Let that sink down into the deepest parts of your soul. You are His treasured possession. Do not fear. Have trust in Yahweh. Have the belief of Yahushua. You already guard the commands. I'm lacking this part. I need this inside of me. Let that sink down into the darkest parts of your soul. Let the darkest parts that have the doubt, that harbor the worry, that harbor the fear and the unbelief, let it be replaced with light. Let that light be trust. The light of the world that Yahushua was put here to be. That belief of Yahushua is. That's the light. Let that light grow within you and overcome that darkness and become the belief of Yahushua so that you have it. Trust in Yahweh with all your heart, and He will make your paths straight. Guard the commands and have the belief of Yahushua so that you do not lack at all and enter into life abundantly. Yevrekeka Yahweh vayishmereka. Yair Yahweh panavaleka vikineka. Yasai Yahweh panavaleka v'yasem laka shalom. Yahweh bless you and guard you. Yahweh make His face to shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahweh lift up His face upon you and give you perfect and complete peace. Hallelujah.